Alright everybody, welcome to the Starter Deck Tournament, round of 64. Here we go again. These decks are really bad. That's one thing to keep note of here. But we will still play them anyways because we're desperate for content. I think that's the most accurate description. I'm going to actually full keep this because it's just so risky if you end up with just a nibble, which is just a completely dead card. And none of these are dead. Basically, everything in this starter deck, what we learned from the first round, is just about everything trades one for one. So you're just looking for that slender moment where you can get more value than your opponent. So here, the 2/3s are somewhat awkward because we can't play the Axewoman there. If we play the Spring Bloom, they attack and they GP. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So they're getting off to a very nice start in this game, unfortunately for myself. So there's probably a line where I play this GP, and we heal, and we get value. But that doesn't happen until next turn. So let's go ahead and play V-Rock here, because they can't just peel this super cleanly. I mean, they can V-Rock it, but they don't value on it. Next turn, we're going to attempt to achieve value against the tough townsfolk by playing the Axewoman, the Panacean Messenger onto the Axewoman after attacking and GPing. That will leave us with a 2/2 and a 2/3 on board. They can take out the 2/2, then we can GP there and play the Spring Bloom the following turn. So that was a mythical line that didn't even happen. But that's part of what's going on in my head at the moment. Okay. Actually, I didn't have the mana to do the line I was suggesting, so I was just stupid. That happens sometimes too. I think double Spring Bloom here is great. And the reason why double Spring Bloom here is great is because it's difficult to just peel both of these. Again, we're looking for any ounce of value we can get. Unfortunately, they got the first turn advantage, and they're getting the Sanctum. Ooh, they're getting value out of the Eagle Nobleborn, and that card is hard to get value out of. Great start for my opponent here. They should have taken this out, because we're going to hit here and get value. So they make a slight error on that turn. And, oh, they had the Blight Bomb. Never mind. Nothing matters. They just come out here with a perfect start. And I don't see any real way of coming back in this game, unfortunately for us. We'll remove this, and the Axewoman hits here. The Dockside's okay. We're going to take some damage. Now, if we can get down to 15, and they're not careful, then we can get some Possessed Acolyte. The issue here is that when we're taking all this damage, we're absorbing all this damage, they're gaining favor. So they've already gained +1 card on us with the Ranger First Bow, and that Ranger First Bow usually ends up being a +2 differential type of card. So that really puts us in a tough bind at the moment. So it's going to be very hard to come back and win this game. But not impossible. Again, next turn they might get us to 15, and then we slap down the Possessed Acolyte and really start asking some questions. So that's the good news. The bad news is we're getting destroyed. But there's good news and bad news with everything in life, right? So we are going to do all of this. I think they just hit there and GP and then face, and then we're kind of just a little bit behind here. They have the Ranger First Bow, but they're using this instead of the GP, so they're not really getting max value out of this. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to play the Possessed Acolyte this turn. But maybe next turn, if we can get this down with value, hopefully draw something like a V-Rock this turn. Okay, that was literally the worst card we could draw. I'm going to pass with the Possessed Acolyte. For us to win this game, we need a spectacular comeback. If I'm just being completely blunt and honest, we need something spectacular to happen. And at the moment, nothing spectacular appears to be happening. Yeah, everything is going perfectly for our opponent here. Even when we hit the 6/6 down onto the board, or even if we get this and it's a 6/6 down on the board here, they can possibly kill us already. It's looking very bad. We're going to be asking the questions of the Wild Ursine here, and of this. If this guy goes face, they actually have lethal. which is tough. But we want it to hit here, and then if it hits here, there's a chance, but there's not a chance. Just went second. They got a good draw, and we fell way too far behind early in this one. So game one did not go our way. Just really, really ugly start. And game two, we are going first. And don't. This is okay on one because it doesn't get wrecked as badly in a lot of situations. I can full keep this or get greedy on the hoplite. I'm going to full keep and just hope that... See, the problem with Tough Townsfolk is it's often a card that your opponent can get positive value on. So that's what concerns me with it. I'm going to come out here and I'm going to try to do what they did to me last game and get the early initiative. Nothing here that we played is super high quality, but it is quantity early. So I can potentially attack with this on the first turn and get some value with the Panacean Messenger. Or I can just trade these, and I'm just going to trade here. We're trading a 2-2 for a 2-3, but we spent 3 mana to kill 2 mana worth. And next turn, we don't have anything mana efficient, so that's the bad news. The good news is we did get rid of a good minion. Okay, this is problematic, the Spring Bloom Hunter. And yeah, they're going to get value out of this, so another great start for our opponent, unfortunately. Oh, well, I top deck like a madman, so there's that. That was a great top deck for us because we can go ahead, peel this. Now, this card's always card disadvantage, but getting rid of a quality card, making them take a tempo turn off, probably the peel to 2-1, and then we can Panacean and Spring Bloom and potentially get a lot of value. Yeah, so we're not even getting card disadvantage out of this Eager Nobleborn, and that's usually a strict card disadvantage card. So this is a great situation. And we might not get card disadvantage out of the Tough Townsfolk, which often can be a card disadvantage card in this matchup. So a pretty good start to this game. We're looking at getting the Sanctum first, which is going to be a key difference than what we had in the prior game. The prior game, we did not get the Sanctum first, and ultimately that was just about everything at the end of the day. So we will attack there. I can grab the Ranger Firstbow, the clear #1 best card available in the Sanctum. And I'll play the Hoplite because I would prefer these two to end up trading, but we'll take the Ranger Firstbow. Just in case they have an Axewoman or a Blight Bomb for the Hoplite, hit here, and then Panacean Messenger, which is their best line. Ranger Firstbow and GP finishes here, but they strictly trade, which wasn't a super big surprise, but it's something that we're satisfied with. Alright, so this turn, we get the front line. We would prefer to protect this minion as it's more valuable. They can hit here, GP, potentially Panacean Messenger, and then Ranger Firstbow GP. This can take out the Panacean Messenger. Again, we're slightly better off card advantage-wise at the moment. This can hit here, they can GP. There's a couple of different lines they can go with. It looks like they're probably not going to be purchasing anything from the Sanctum this turn. Form of Power or Wind-Up Roller, those are the two key cards in the Sanctum in terms of quality. They're playing this, which is going to allow me to attack with the Spring Bloom Hunter and gain value, which is unfortunate for our opponent. But they're going to be able to kill the Dockside, which actually is very key. And notice they left a 1 and a 1 on the board, so they did a good job of managing that situation. We have to do this attack. We have to peel here. And we have to play here. And we're just going to buy the Wind-Up Roller for board presence. There's not a really big difference between the Wind-Up Roller and the Form of Power in terms of quality. So just using our mana efficiently and keeping board is good. Also drawing cards on a turn where they have to GP. Like if they get a 3 and a 2 cost card, they can't play both, for instance. So that's something to keep in mind. They get a Tough Townsfolk, which is a tough luck draw for our opponent. And we get an opportunity to utilize our GP here. We're going to play Soul Bargain on a minion just to do it. Axewoman is a line that we could consider here. But we're just going to do this. And I like this line for one reason. One thing they often would like to do is hit with the Panacea and GP. However, they also want a GP here on the wind-up roller as well. So getting your opponent in a spot where they want to use their God Power on two different spots is usually optimal in this type of format. Just an FYI on the way these things usually end up breaking out. These decks are very similar and very value-centric is the key to success in these. They're buying the Ruin of Strength, which, if they play it this turn, is just a bad play because the V-Rock trades here and they're not really gaining that much. I guess they're saying that they're gaining one card of value, but I don't know. And they're just saying, I'm going to gain 0 cards of value. So what our opponent wants to do is they want me to get them down to 15 health. That's what they're saying. They're going to go out of their way. They could have GP'd to kill this wind-up roller, but they're flat out saying they want me to damage them. And that's cool. That is cool. I will indeed damage them. I will indeed take some favor. But is there any way they can damage themselves for 1? I don't think there is. I think 16 is the perfect number. And we're just going to leave them at that. So they're at 16. They probably have some acolytes that they want to play and get down to 15. But there's not a way that they can take damage themselves here. Intentionally deal damage to themselves. Now, if they had the Neferu sacrifice God Power, they could. But in this situation, they kind of are just sitting back and they're waiting. They're waiting for me to get them below 15. Quite frankly, I have no incentive to. They're floating 5. Why rush here? Why rush here at all? I don't have to attack their god. So they're wanting to get value out of the possessed acolyte. I want a wider board. I want to make this hit really hurt them. So they're going to go ahead, finally get out some minions. Makes sense. So this, and now I'm just going to push forward. At the end of the day, we can be cute, wait patiently all we want, but if they're going to play this game, I'm just going to say good luck to you. You're at 2. You've got to figure the situation out, and they've got to find a way to deny me lethal next turn. And they're going to play like a couple of Just a Nibbles probably on this turn. They're going to give that guy front line. They're going to get a couple of Just a Nibbles. Sure. Or they're just going to play 2 Just a Nibbles, then give it front line. Well, they don't have enough mana for everything they want to do. That's their problem. So, again, yeah, very difficult to completely deny lethal with that strategy, and I think I did a good thing by taking some time off there, not letting them get any sort of value, any sort of trickery on there. We knew they had the Rune of Strength. We knew what they were trying to set up, and we were just like, no, we're just not going to mess with it. We're just going to expand our board and make our hit harder. And there was probably not a way for them to deny lethal on that turn. So here is game number 3. So games number 1 and 2 were won by the player who went first and got the early initiative. Unfortunately, we're going first. Fun fact here. I'm actually happy to see Just a Nibble in the mulligan, because now I can mulligan very safely. I can be very aggressive on my mulligan. I know I don't have to worry about getting Just a Nibble. And honestly, this draw is great. This is reactive. This is reactive. This is a potential value card, so I'm going to full keep. 2 mana, 2 3s in this weird exact format are a good thing, which is strange to say. Not gonna lie, it's strange to say. This Sanctum has some juicers for sure. Alright, so we're gonna play the Shield Maiden on 1, which is somewhat awkward. They may do the Acolyte GP, but if they play any minions, then we can get value with our Panacea Messenger. That's why I love opening with this, is it really asks a question, and they're trading 4 mana to kill 2, which is so cringe. Or they're doing that. which is actually fine because we do profit one card because our GP takes out the Eager Nobleborn, and we're happy with this. We're taking a going second reactive strategy. We're ahead on favor. We're not ahead on board, but we've value traded. We've gotten +1 in the card differential. Our hand isn't bad either. All right. So this turn, the Vanguard Axewoman gets value by hitting here. And then we play the Hoplite here. What's probably going to happen is they're probably going to attack in GP, and that's fine. We're trading 1 for 1, and we just weren't able to get positive value. This is a card that we're often able to get positive value on, so they're very happy to trade that. Even though it's 3 mana for 2, it's still a successful trade for our opponent. Alright, so this turn I'm going to go ahead and take a peek seize with the Soul Bargain to see what we get. And we get that. So I'm going to go ahead with this and this, trying to get some board initiative going. We could have Blight Bombed there, but I'm going to save it just in case. Yeah, Soul Bargain, trade. They might have a Axewoman and they could Axewoman GP here. Now they're just going to do that trade. Very balanced game so far, mostly trades. We have profited a +1 in terms of value at the moment, and then that +1 of value went away as soon as we drew Just a Nibble. This is just a flat -1. Of course, they could be holding a Just a Nibble right now as well, but absolute dead card. We are hoping to win the race for the Sanctum, of course. That's another way to get some potential value. Here they get 2 cards in play. We will indeed go ahead and claim the Sanctum. So we don't actually have to commit to the Sanctum yet. We have 2 options. We can draw a card. We can deal 3 to something. I think the Vow is solid here as well. But we're going to buy one of these, guaranteed. So this is their second Possessed Acolyte. This is worth noting. I'm going to buy the Vow, which is a risky line because the Rune of Fire, I guess, is generally better. But I think I'm going to win the race for the second card in the Sanctum. I'm making a bet here. The bet here is optimistic. But I think his last card in hand is Just a Nibble. And I think I'm ahead in the value sector. So if I can maintain board position here, then he's in trouble. I could have misread the last card in my opponent's hand as well. So that's another factor. But yeah, they trade 1 for 1, even trade. But we still have this Possessed Acolyte, which is getting us favor. I don't like the Eager Nobleborn because that's a card that they actually get value on. If I play it, they get favor. So I'm going to flat out pass. Top decking this was really bad. The second worst card we could have drawn besides another Just a Nibble. And they have this. And that they Just a Nibble. Okay, so they just gain the 5. They take away the suspense for what they had in their hand. I am going to go ahead and just do this. I know this doesn't look aesthetically pleasing, but I'm going to let them have the Rune of Fire. To be honest, the Rune of Fire and the Wind-Up Roller are just really +1 card. They're not really anything more on an EV spectrum. So we're just getting at some board. We're trying to establish as much favor as possible. Because these cards you get from the Sanctum, they're just flat-out extras. Flat-out extra cards. And what I love here is I'm going to be able to get value. Positive value with this attack with the Region. This is absolutely great for us here. The Axewoman can trade. And we can go ahead just like this. And this is beautiful for us. Absolutely beautiful for us. And I love the fact that we're baiting in the Sanctum for them to potentially take the Rune of Strength. Like if they get a Raoul Ursign, they might buy the Rune of Strength and get wrecked by the Eager Nobleborn. I saw that line right after the end of the turn. I'm like, ooh, that's going to be tempting for our opponent. But they're getting very little value out of that. And I now know I don't have to worry about getting my opponent to 15. So all of this is just farming the favor, and we're farming the Sanctum. And that's how we're doing it from a value perspective. Our opponent has flashed the GGs because they know in this format there's no way to come back. at this point have achieved too much value, and conceding actually was the correct thing to do. So they were very aware of the situation. We advanced to the round of 32. This was the round of 64. I'll see you the next time you tune in.